Greetings, all my duckies out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with another DuckTales episode review. It's the 2017 series, and its second season, with this being episode number 19, titled A Nightmare on Killmotor Hill, a reference to the movie A Nightmare on Elm Street, with Killmotor Hill actually being the name of the hill that Scrooge's money bin is built upon. I don't know if this was stated to still be the case, but either way, they technically wouldn't even be on Killmotor Hill because they're nowhere near the money bin. They're at Scrooge's estate, but that's neither here nor there. Let's go into this fantastic episode as we see all of the kids. We're talking Huey, Dewey, Louie, Webby, Lena, and Violet all together for the first time, honestly. This is the first time we're seeing everyone together. All these friends that Webby has made, and she is so overjoyed to be having a slumber party with all of her best and most precious friends. And we even have Mrs. Beakley outside as their personal guard slash babysitter for the most part to make sure things don't get too rowdy. But this is actually in fact the 1-year friend anniversary that Lena has known the entire crew, specifically Webby, but whatever. And while Lena goes on this literal song and dance, Webby is overjoyed to have her friend care so much. And we even see that Lena has made friendship bracelets for everyone. Something that Louie is kind of like, wait, what's the rub here? Ever the cynic, but at the same time, this isn't really Lena's style, at least not before. And while Lena tries her best to just convey that she has a tendency to say things a little too sarcastically, or she has a tendency to be a little more mean-spirited in nature, we also see that her emotional state is affecting her magical powers as well, as they sometimes burst out of control here and there. But Webby goes on to tell Lena that, hey, listen, you don't have to try so hard to, show that you're friendly, to show that you're nice. We appreciate just having you here, no matter what. And that's Webby's whole thing. And she'll just reassuring Lena that everything will be alright. We love and appreciate you, and we accept you for who you are. Magic dispels shadow or not, you are still a valued member of this family. So they get this party started into the wee hours of the night, and I do mean the wee hours of the night. I've been on that party shit before too, just staying up till the ungodly hours when no living being should be conscious anymore. And yes, they are completely run ragged by this point, with even Mrs. Beakley actually being completely fast asleep, as we see that she's actually trained to sleep with her eyes open, which is not disturbing at all. But Lena is determined to keep this party going, and she tries to get everyone's spirits up before she heads over to the bathroom to, wash her face, splash some cold water in there, get her, mind racing. Unfortunately, we see that, her fears are starting to kind of take possession of her. Her fears of becoming Magica Dispel, complete with eyes and the black hair and all that good stuff. And she is determined to hide it from Webby at any and all costs. But unfortunately, everyone has already fallen asleep, and Lena has to confront her fears as Webby does her best to kind of, calm Lena's nerves by saying, I understand, you're scared of the dark, that's what it is. Don't worry, I have these, star nightlight, glow-in-the-dark stars up above, which will help you get to sleep, a bit of a nightlight situation. So Lena has no choice but to bite the bullet and go to sleep, where we see that her magical powers start to spiral out of control, sending everyone into a shared dream. And not just any dream, a dream that puts them on a deserted island, the dream dream of Webigail Vanderquack, being stuck on a deserted island with all of her best friends, an amazing adventure that she's all too prepared for. Ah, Webby, never change, never change, as they run into this magical unicorn who tells them the way to go in order to get off the island safely. And as Webby starts to kind of just think about the fact that, man, this is so amazing, it's so much like a dream I've had, Violet immediately pinpoints the exact situation, saying that this is something that resulted from Lena's erratic state in her lack of sleep that was very apparent, and her magical powers are spiraling out of control and have sucked them all into a shared lucid dream. And, well, Lena owns up to it for the most part, just over the fact that she's been having these nightmares, and she's been very fearful about going to sleep, and she's been having this issue for about a week, and she was hoping some time with her friends would be able to hopefully ward away all of these negative dreams and all that. So she just feels bad for bringing everyone into her problems. But, Webby is all too willing to get into Lena's magical shadow person problems. Again, reiterating, they're friends. They're there for each other. That's what friends do. Help each other through different problems here and there, as long as Lena just owns up to it and doesn't keep any secrets, which Lena naturally continues to keep secrets. As, while Lena does try to wake herself up and get everyone out, Huey exposits that you don't wake up a sleepwalking person. Maybe waking up your magical friend who brought everyone into the shared dream through force isn't the best way to go either. So they just decide to have fun with the dream, with all of the kids except Lena sprouting these butterfly wings so they can just fly through the sky, because yeah, if you're in a dream, one of the first things I'm going to do, and knowing that it's a dream, I'm going to take off and fly. I'm straight up going to do something like that. Unfortunately, when Lena tries to sprout wings of her own, they're demonic bat wings, something she immediately goes to hide by wandering off into a nightmare portion of Webby's dream as she's chased by this unknown figure. She ends up meeting back up with the rest of the kids, but then we start to wander into another section of the dreamscape, where oddly enough there's a school, not just any school, one that Dewey immediately recognizes. This is Dewey's dream, because he's seen so many television productions that showed high school as this magical place where you could be anything and you could sing and dance and have all this fun. He wanted to be this jock who's really cool, really popular, and just really great at sports and all these different things. Classic Dewey. This classic Dewey. But really kind of makes me think about Quack Pack with him wearing that jacket. I think Dewey in that series wore like a baseball jacket and all that, so it just really makes me think of that series. But we also kind of see a few bits of Dewey's existential issues going on here as well, which I want more words about this spoken, because, oof, poor baby boy, what's going on in your messed up head? And speaking of which, as Lena once again finds herself separated from the group, she ends up seeing visions of none other than Magica Dispel, something she immediately tries to avoid and evade as best she can by triggering the sprinklers, which seemingly melts her, Wizard of Oz style. And while Dewey's none too happy that Lena is kind of ruining his dream, the rest of the kids weren't too feeling the Dewey-based school subjects and the Dewey-based songs, so they decide to just make a break out of there, since, well, they're having a shared dream, so they should be able to just enter into somebody else's dream. So they enter into none other than Louie's dream, which his dream is to be a Garfield-esque fat cat who just gets pampered and gets to be a little bit of a troublemaker now and then. He is a literal fat cat, a rich little kitty who's got no problems whatsoever in the world. Unfortunately, Lena's portrayal of herself is that of a wolf, which Violet even exposits that might be lone wolf syndrome, her just feeling like she's constantly alone and, needs to be apart from everyone else. She sees herself as a predator, although Webby thinks that it's because she's a pack animal and she just wants to be with the rest of her pack. Unfortunately, the dream Miss Beakley has summoned a dog catcher, animal control, in order to get the big bad wolf out, letting an even worse wolf into the henhouse. So in order to escape this new bit of trouble, they decide to venture into Huey's dreams, which Huey admits he's not the most creative person amongst the kids, as his dream is just simply to be tall. That's it, to really assert his dominance as a big brother, getting things off of high shelves and all that. Unfortunately, this immediately gets out of control, as just having long legs does not a tall person make. And he just starts making everything on all of his limbs just really ridiculously long and just really gets out of hand. But the kids then start to just decide to go through this montage of just having fun, jumping from place to place, action to action, dream to dream, going through all this different sugar-induced crazes and all that, and even popping up Phooey, the legendary mythological fourth brother, which we talked about in the last episode, which again was this character who would sometimes be added in, unwillingly at times by the artists of the comics, because they were so used to just having the three kids in the background. Whenever one of them became a little bit more prominent, they would have the prominent nephew in the foreground with the three nephews in the background as per usual. And this was dubbed Phooey Duck. And in the Italian comics, which, as I've said before, has a tendency to sneak into this present series, as with the story of Della and how she was an astronaut, as well as one other thing. Oh, even, Lena Dispel, the character that she's based off of is actually from one of the Italian comics. Actually, no, I don't think she's straight up from the Italian comics. I just think that she actually got more characterization and was featured more in the Italian comics. Like, overseas comics have just this weird tendency to constantly keep in all this out of nowhere stuff. And what was the character's name? I think it was Minima Dispel? Yeah, that's the character that Lena's based off of, and you saw her a lot in the Italian comics. And the explanation behind Phooey is just that he was this residual mental, psychological energy or something, or this natural phenomenon who would just pop up every now and again through just the kids just going around and playing. And, Donald was just accepted that, yeah, sometimes there's this fourth nephew who just pops up out of nowhere. So, if we ever get to see Phooey beyond this, more power to you. But if this is the only appearance of Phooey in any sort of form of outside media from the comics, then, oh man, this series continues to just be a really interesting situation. And we even have this weird little moment where the kids run Dragon Ball Z style along this mountain with this launch pad whale flying across like Shenron. Like, I just love stuff like this to just show the weebiness from some of the people who make these series. But, a lot of those people, they grew up with stuff like that. So of course they're gonna sneak in little Easter eggs here and there. Speaking of sneaking, Lena continues to constantly run into Magica, just looking to join forces with Lena every now and again. But the kids continue to evade her without even realizing that Lena is experiencing any of this, as they end up in Violet's dreams, which is just that she wants to read more, which is, of course, always, bookishness and all that good stuff. But Lena once again ends up wandering into the unfortunate section of the library, where Magica once again tries to pry into her life, as Scrooge actually starts knocking on the door at 6 a.m. trying to wake the kids up so they can eat food and have all this other stuff. But come on, Scrooge, you old codger, who wakes up at 6 in the morning? As, Webby's actually sad that it seems they won't get to Lena's section of her dream. But Lena is all too okay with that as she runs off as, the influences of Magica the Spell continue to wash all over her, which she does her best to hide. And as the kids try to, see what's wrong with her, the shadow of Magica continues to loom over Lena as she retreats further and further into her own psyche. So the kids get their wish as they follow Lena into her own dreams. But once they get there, they find her dreams are more like a nightmare. Very cool imagery, love it. As Lena has fully taken on the green tinge of the fully empowered Magica the Spell, as Magica is truly in Lena's dreams because of this mental bond that they share, as she puts it. Ultimately, they are two halves of the same whole. And ultimately, she tells Lena that at some point that Lena will become her. They are linked. They are bonded. No matter how hard she tries to just put it off to evade it, she will eventually become Magica herself. As the kids come a knocking at the door to see if Lena's alright, Magica decides to play a bit of a trick as she infuses herself into the staff as Lena takes on the appearance of Magica. And as the kids come in to rescue their friend, Lena does her best to convince them that she is in fact Lena, but they don't believe it because of her, again, constant sarcastic tone, which Webby thinks is Magica mocking her. So, unfortunately, Lena continues to just give in to the monstrous way that she feels, changing her appearance into that of a bat-like creature. But as the battle goes on against Lena, Lena dives in to save Webby, something that, you wouldn't really think Magica would do. But as Magica continues, as Lena in Magica's form continues to be beaten down, Magica does her best to say, see, they were always going to turn on you. This was always going to happen. That's why you should come with me. You are a part of me. That's the way it's supposed to be. But Webby notices the friendship bracelet, and she realizes just how hurt she's made Lena feel by just not recognizing her. And as Lena kind of gives in, just says, well, I'm just tired of pretending to be something that I'm not, pretending to be good, Webby tells her, you are good. You're good because you ultimately dived in to save me. You tried your best, and you did something that Magica would never do. You tried to help someone, despite Magica's best efforts to tell Lena to the contrary. Because Lena is Webby's friend. Lena is always there for Webby, no matter what, despite the nature that she feels is inside of her. Lena always tries to be the best friend possible. And as Lena does her best to go with her friends, Magica tries her best to pull her shadow back towards her. But with a show of passion from Webby, with tears of love and caring, she's able to infuse Lena with the energy to push Magica out of her mind, waking all the kids up. Finally, they're back into the real world. But they do notice this weird device outside their window, and as the kids go racing off to follow it back to its source, they find that source is none other than Magica, nearby in the shadows, continuing to beckon Lena to her side, because without her, she is powerless. We come to find out that Magica is not the powerful wizard that she was before. She's using technology in order to invade Lena's dreams, in order to get her back to her side, in order to get her full range of power back, because now she has nothing. She's just a sad old lady who can no longer have power or dominion over Lena. she's powerless. She's nothing to Lena. Not family, not a part of her, just some weird old lady that kids should probably avoid. Don't talk to strangers, kids. As Lena goes about breaking Magica's helmet in order to keep her out of Lena's dreams. As it's pretty obvious, she's been trying to get into Lena's mind for the past week. And as Magica swears vengeance that she will have Lena's powers for her own. Someday, some way, she will grind up her heart and eat it, and all these vengeful words. The kids don't pay her any mind because she has no power. She's got nothing. She's just a sad old lady swearing vengeance on a bunch of kids. It's funny and ironic, but at the same time a little sad to see such a powerful sorceress reduced to nothing but a hobo living in the woods. But I can't imagine this being it for Magica the Spell. She's too big of an enemy to Scrooge. But I also like the fact that, there's always the possibility that she might get back her powers in some way, shape, or form. And not to mention her connection with Lena. When it came to Magica's niece Minima, there was no real connection like this. It was just, this is my niece, she's my servant, she does my bidding, she's a good girl, but, I'm evil, therefore she's evil. That was the end of it. But the character of Lena is made into a very fascinating, interesting, and multi-layered character who I love having episodes about, because whenever there's an episode with Lena and Magica, it's a fun time. It is just so ingrained in my being, and having Magica's shadowy presence be there again like it was so much in season 1 was just a fun time, and honestly kind of missed. If it wasn't the story of Magica trying to get one over on Scrooge, it was the story of Della being missing and the kids on their quest to find her. But both of those major plots have kind of been resolved with us just trying to lead up to the invasion by the moon, by Planet Moon and all that good stuff. But man, I just really love Magica. She's fun, she's interesting, and she makes a great foil for Lena, which I never would have thought would be the thing. Magica is such an enemy to Scrooge that I never would have expected her to take on the enemy role for another character, but it's fun. It's really fun, and I really love it. You can make an enemy out of a character by having her have more of a connection to the rest of the family through Lena. It never felt like Magica really had that animosity to Scrooge's kids, but now she really has it, especially out for them because of the fact that Scrooge is her arch rival and is harboring the source of all of Magica's magic. Good stuff. But tell me your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below. How do you feel about the direction they've taken Magica, and how do you feel about Lena and the continued focus on her character? From a side character appearing in an Italian spin-off comic to a brand new character who has their own thoughts, feelings, emotions, story arcs, and a great friendship with a fun character. It might even be more than just friendship, who knows? But again, tell me your feelings, thoughts, and theories in the comment section below. If you liked this video, leave me a like, and if you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike. That way I can, know that, maybe I should change something up, do something different, for future videos. And subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you don't miss out on my lead up to the season finale of season 2 of 2017's DuckTales. I'm all too ready for season 3. Oof, so much good stuff on the way. So much good stuff. And if you want to find me on social media, just Google Duuz-Diz-Din. I am everywhere, for better or for worse. And until the next video, just remember that no matter what nightmares you might have, as long as you have a fun and friendship-filled reality to wake up to, you'll have sweet dreams somewhere down the line. That's the funny thing about nightmares. You always manage to wake up from them. Till next time, I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I think it might be time for me to get some sleep. Hopefully I won't have any nightmares. Till next time, bye-bye.